Story of Adam alayhi salam. A long, long time ago, long before Allah created mankind, Allah also created the devil and angels. Allah also created the sun, the moon, the earth, and the universe with everything in it, such as the water, the air, the heavens, the land, the trees, the mountain, the valley, the animal, and even the small insect. Allah made all of His other creation before He created humankind. Then Allah said to the angels, I will create a fine-germ on earth. Quran Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 30. Allah ordered the angels to gather a handful of all the different types of the earth's soils: the black soil, the white soil, the red soil, and all the colors in between these colors, including the soft soil and the firm soil. The angels took a handful from all these different kinds of soil and brought it to paradise. When the soil was mixed with heavenly water and molded until Adam alayhi salam was formed. Iblis saw this figure. He was confused and scared, even though the figures of Adam alayhi salam just stood there still and didn't move for 40 long years. One day, Allah breathed His spirit into Adam alayhi salam. When the spirit reached the head of the figure, he sneezed. When the spirit reached his eyes, he saw all the amazing food of a feast before him. When the spirit reached his stomach, Adam alayhi salam felt hungry. He tried to jump toward the fruit, but Adam alayhi salam fell because he could not move his legs yet, as his spirit had not yet reached his legs. Then Allah asked all the angels and Iblis to prostrate before Adam alayhi salam as a sign of respect. One by one, all the angels bowed before the Prophet except Iblis. Iblis said that he was better than the Prophet because he was made from fire instead of clay. Allah got angry with his disobedience, so He banished Iblis from paradise. From that day, Iblis was called the Satan. Adam alayhi salam was placed by Allah in a beautiful paradise where whatever he wanted would come true. Adam alayhi salam lived in a beautiful flowers garden and tame animals around him, and rivers flowing with milk and honey. There was a good food, bright sun, and magnificent palace with all the furniture made out of gold and silver. Allah allowed him to eat all the fruits except one, the huldi, the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Adam alayhi salam spent most of his time playing with the animals and enjoying all the beauty and the pleasures of paradise that Allah provided. But after a while, the Prophet felt lonely because there were no other human in paradise. He wanted a companion, so Allah gave Adam alayhi salam a wife. While the Prophet was sleeping, Allah created the first woman, who was Hawa. That name means source of life. One day, Satan came to heaven to trick the Prophet and his wife into eating the forbidden fruit. The Prophet and his wife unknowingly picked the fruit and started eating it. However, even before they finished eating it, they realized that they had committed a grave sin. They were filled with guilt, sadness, and shame that made them realize that they were naked. They ran to cover themselves with leaves. They were now terrified of Allah's wrath. Adam alayhi salam and Hawa, or Eve, were very sorry they had violated Allah's prohibition. Allah is merciful and forgives human mistake, but every offense has a punishment. After this incident, Adam and Eve and Iblis were ordered to leave heaven. Adam alayhi salam descended in a land called Serendip, Sri Lanka today, and Eve descended in a different location from Adam, in the land of Arabia. Iblis descended to an area in Iraq, now a city called Al-Ulbla, next to Al-Basra. Earth felt very strange for Adam alayhi salam, who did not find Hawa by his side. He began to look for her, but she was nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, far away from where Adam salam was, Eve was walking alone. For years they looked for each other. Their suffering were very heavy, especially because the land they found themselves in was not like heaven, where all things had been made available to them. After all this time looking for each other, Allah finally brought them together in Padang Arafah. Adam salam was appointed as a leader on earth in accordance with the purpose of Adam's creation. The Prophet knew that life on earth would be very difficult. He had to make a house for them to live in, and he had to work hard to feed his family. After a few years, Hawa, or Eve, gave birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. They named them Kabil and Iklima. Then Hawa gave birth to twins again. This time they named Abel and Labuda. Kabil liked to spend his time in the fields and grow crops, while Abel became a herdsman. Before long, the Prophet decided to get them married. Since there was no other woman on the earth, the Prophet decided to marry Kabil to Habil's twin, Labuda, and Habil to Kabil's twin, Iklima. There was an argument between Kabil and his father. Kabil did not agree with this intermarriage and wanted to marry his own twin sister, Iklima, who was more beautiful. The Prophet decided to solve this problem by offering a sacrifice to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was decided that the person whose sacrifice was accepted would marry Iklima. Abel took the best sheep from his farm and offered it as a sacrifice to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Kabil chose vegetables and grain as a sacrifice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted Abel's sacrifice and rejected the sacrifice made by Kabil. Saying this, the Prophet decided that Abel would marry Iklima. Kabil was so angry that he wanted to kill Habil. One day, Kabil found Habil walking towards home. Kabil was still angry with Habil and said,
Offering is accepted but mine is not.
Abel replied,
Only accepts from the pious.
Habil was angry at this, and he took a stone to hit Abel. Abel did not return Kabil's blow. He said,
If you stretch out your hand to kill me, I will never stretch out my hand to hurt you, because I fear Allah.
This comment angered Kabil even more, and he hit Abel with stone until Abel died. When Kabil realized that Abel was dead, he was terrified and did not know what to do. He didn't want his father to know what he had done, so he started thinking of ways to hide his sin. Kabil wandered from place to place with Habil's corpse and tried to hide it. It was then he saw two crows fighting with each other. During the fight, one crow killed the other. The winning crow then clawed and dug a hole in the ground. He buried the dead crow in the hole he had dug and filled the hole with mud. This gave Kabil the idea to bury his brother's body in the ground. This was the first burial of human being. Kabil was ashamed of what he had done. Satan had triumphed over him, and he knew that he could no longer return to his family. Satan began to mislead Kabil further. Satan said to Kabil, Indeed, your brother's sacrifice was eaten by fire because you worship fire. So make a furnace and worship it. It will be beneficial for you and your descendant. Kabil began to abandon the teaching of Prophet Adam and perform rituals to worship fire. His descendants, called Bani Kabil, were the first people to associate other gods with Allah. Bani Kabil did a lot of damage on earth. They liked to drink alcohol, gamble, steal, and did not want to worship Allah. Eventually, when Kabil died, his son intended to bury Kabil's body, but Satan told Kabil's children to bring two hablar stones that had been hollowed out in the middle, and they put their father's body into the space between the stone. The body was dressed with fine clothes, anointed with fragrance oil, and prepared with preservative herb to keep Kabil's body intact. Satan told them to keep the stone chest containing the corpse in a palace and place it on a chair made of gold. Satan also ordered everyone who entered the house to prostrate. Satan thoroughly misled the entire family and descendants of Kabil. Meanwhile, Prophet Adam a.s. had been in a very sorry state for many years. He was often alone, lost in thought, thinking his two sons disappeared and no one knew what happened to them. Prophet Adam a.s. could only pray to Allah and ask for guidance. Allah told the Prophet Adam a.s. what had happened to his two sons. The Prophet and Eve mourned the loss of their two sons. One son had died and the other was led astray by Satan. After the death of Prophet Adam's right sons Habil, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought forth Prophet Seeds a.s. Prophet Adam a.s. was 130 years old when Prophet Seeds was born. Year after year came and went. Now the descendant of Prophet Adam had spread across the earth. Old Prophet Adam, who was approximately 1,000 years old, lay weak in his mother's room surrounded by his children and grandchildren. Prophet Adam gave a message to always ask for guidance from Allah. Prophet Adam also chose Prophet Seeds a.s. as a successor to continue preaching the religion of God.